Hi, I'm Carol Moore. Have you ever thought about the age that a violinist would start playing? Stay tuned and you'll find out what my guest did. Welcome to Vignette. Tonight my guest is Helen Armstrong. Helen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Carol. Glad to be here.
This is interesting because you are a classical violinist.
That's right.
Right. And that's the title that you call yourself?
That's
classical.
Right. Classical.
Okay. And when did you start playing the violin?
Well, my formal training started when I was 5 years old. I had a violin under my chin when I was 3.
That's very early.
It was very early, but my mother was very, very anxious to have me start because she was a violinist. And
now, did she play professionally?
Yes, she did.
Okay.
And then when I started, she was spending more and more time with me and sending me actually to other teachers, and one in particular that I went to every day because I wouldn't listen to her. And so I would go off and sometimes not go to my lesson. I would ride my bicycle to the park and disappear.
Oh, you wanted to be a child too?
Oh, it was so hard, especially to have to do it every single day.
Right.
But my mother felt that was, instead of the practicing, I would have a lesson. And eventually, after maybe about a year of this, the teacher called up and said, I can't teach her anymore. She keeps looking out the window. So my mother was wondering what to do.
6 or 7?
And I was 6, 7, and we found another teacher for a while. But then I was around 10 or 11, I started to go into Chicago for lessons. I was born in Rockford, Illinois.
Okay.
And so it was a 90-mile trek to Chicago. And as I got older in 5th, 6th grade, I used to take a day off from school every day. Every week, I should say, yes, to go into Chicago for my lessons. And then eventually my teacher was coming out. So this went on for a number of years. And
Did you feel that you were privileged to have this kind of structure and the ability to have these lessons, or did you resent it as a child?
Well, I think I resented it, but because my mother was always right and I didn't want her to know she was right, as most parents are right.
Right.
And I had a hard time listening to her, and I would rebel. But I knew I was talented, but not to the extent that really as it turned out, because when I was turning, I think it was between 12 and 13, my mother said to me one day, do you want to continue? And I thought, this is ridiculous. Why ask? Why would I want to, continue or stop playing? And what happened was that she was trying to make me make up my mind that this was something I wanted to do, because there's a lot of dedication, devotion, and sacrifice a little bit, especially at that age.
And it had to be not what she wanted you to do. It had to be what you wanted
what I
to
wanted.
do.
And then I was responsible for my actions, which to this day I'm so grateful for, because I know what went into building a career. And when I was in 9th grade, we had to do a career book, and of course I was one of the very fortunate ones that knew what I wanted to do.
Of course,
so my book, it gave me a chance to go back. My first concert I gave when I was 5, and put all the clippings together and all the interesting things that had happened between that age and
Did you play with a symphony?
Yes, there was a Rockford Symphony, right. I was soloist with the symphony. But my first concert I gave was not with the symphony. I mean, it was I had hardly had lessons, and I was out on the stage after 6 months and performing. And of course, at that age, you just get out there and just play
and become very cute, and everybody loves it. And,
all dressed up in a little black velvet dress and a little white collar. And my brother carried my violin out for me. And then I went back actually about 2 years ago. To the Rockford Theater in Rockford, Illinois, to give a concert in memory of my mother and her very dear friend. And I walked out on that stage, and to this day I still have goosebumps when I think what happened. I walked out, and everybody stood up. And I hadn't even played a note. It was so difficult for me that I had to walk off after I gave my little speech and catch my breath and come back and play. That was quite a
The pressure
moment.
was on you at that
And I had
point.
just played, actually, I thought, well, this concert will be nothing. I had just played in Carnegie Hall 2 days before. Then I go out to theater seats about 1,000 people. The place was packed. But this is easy. I'm coming home. I'll just play for the people that know me. But I had no idea the emotional, element that it just took hold of me.
Right.
It was
How
one of those,
nice.
but it was a wonderful affair, and I've found over all the years that the performing is just a passion that I have, and of course there's a lot of hard work that goes with it. All the practicing.
Well, that's an everyday thing, right?
Absolutely.
You have to practice every day.
Every day. Even if I know something, I think it's very hard for youngsters to understand that even if you've played something 100 times, it can be better, and it can be better, and you're never satisfied. And I think that's the greatest thing about the performance, that you have another chance to do it with all the CDs that I make, and working with others. We do it, and we get it to where we really think it sounds.
You tweak it up as far as you can,
right?
But then you can do it again, and it'll be different.
That's right. Yeah. So every time, it's an experience, and it's something I love.
I saw a program on PBS. I think it was a year ago with I'm going to slaughter his name. The little guy, Isak. How do you say Perlman?
Oh yeah, Isak Perlman.
Okay,
Isak, right?
And he went to Japan, and he did a workshop with them. The students on the violin,
right? And
they were very nice, and they were playing everything. And he said, "Okay, that's very nice. You're hitting all the notes." He says, "But you're not playing with passion.
Right?
There's no passion. You've got to get the passion."
Exactly.
And that's what he was doing. So every time you perform a piece, it depends on your mood.
Absolutely, and your audience.
That's right.
There's so many different things that come into play.
And the reaction between the two.
That's right.
And sometimes,
it's magical, and other times, there are moments that I feel I can walk out on the stage, and I know I've got the audience. It's a wonderful feeling.
Oh, I bet.
And it just and other times you're not quite sure. It's not only the applause; it's just a feeling that one gets.
It's like you have to earn their respect as you're performing.
Right.
Yeah.
No, you mentioned Itzhak Perlman. I met him when I was 12 years old, 13. I saw him when he was on the Ed Sullivan Show. And I thought, wow, is he something? I never had any idea 3 months later that I would be studying with the same teacher. He had come over from Israel, and there was a summer music camp up in Westport, New York, called Meadowmount School of Music, which I went to. I believe I must have been there 7 or 8 summers of 2 months. We practiced from 8 in the morning until, at a break till noon, and went back and practicing again from 1 to 3, another break, and practicing again from 5 to 6, concerts in the, it was
intense.
And I can't believe I did that for, I could almost put over, say, a year of my life just doing that, know. And as it is now, the practicing takes up a lot of time. But I fit it in. Some days I practice more than others, depending on what my schedule is with the concerts that are coming up.
Now, you have a busy schedule. Yeah, I mean, we haven't even gone through your history. I mean, you've gotten up to about 14 years old.
That's right. Oh, goodness.
But it sounds like, just the chit-chatting that we did before, that you're an incredibly busy woman.
Well, I enjoy what I do. Yeah. I have a lot of activities, not only the performing. I should say that when I started the violin, I mean, obviously my goal was to play in Carnegie Hall. That was and I had all the stepping stones in my career book, and when I reached that, it was just such a wonderful feeling to say, okay, now there's more.
Okay, it's not the end all.
It's not the end. Okay. There's so much more out there, and I feel, I should say, with all the concerts I was giving, I was probably the first woman, the teacher I had. His name was Ivan Galamian, and he was one of the greatest teachers in the world. And I was very, very fortunate to be one of his students that got lessons every week, and sometimes twice a week, because he had those that he would see every other week or once a month or whatever it was. And he signed a letter that I have framed that I was ready for my concert career, and that was just the biggest moment in my life, because he said to me before I got married, he said, I need to meet your husband. And I said, okay, that's fine. So I took my husband to meet him. I didn't know what he was going to say. And at that time, I was at Juilliard, and I brought my husband, and I said, well, what did you think? And his little pun was the time my husband was losing a little bit of his hair, so
Yeah.
he said, "Your bow needs to be rehaired." And so I said, "Okay, is that all you have to say?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Yes, you can marry him." And I thought, how many people today would actually go to their
Yeah.
teacher and
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
because I
You
thought that was so
probably asked
important.
him if he was going to support you, or
Absolutely,
if he
if
was
my
going.
career was going to continue, or would I get married, have children or not. And I was very, very, very lucky when I had both my children when I was at Juilliard, and neither, either when I had them both, I never showed that I was pregnant at all.
Oh, you're
So
one
I
of
had,
those lucky ones.
Oh, it was incredible because it
Yeah.
was like 4 days before I gave birth to my first child. I was soloist with the Chicago Symphony.
And no
came
one
back
knew.
and nobody knew. My teacher didn't know a thing, and so of course I called to cancel my lesson.
Yeah.
And I said I was in the hospital, and he said, "Oh, what's wrong?" And I said, "Well, I just had a baby. I had a baby girl." And he said, "It's not possible." So I had to
Most
take my
women,
daughter,
yeah.
my little baby daughter,
Yeah.
to New York to show, because I was living outside of New York and commuting to Juilliard.
Mm-hmm.
And he just couldn't believe it. He just couldn't believe it. So then for the second one, I wanted to get my master's degree, and he said to me, "It takes 2 years." And I said, "Well, could I do it in a year?" He said, "Well, okay."
Yeah.
What he didn't know, I was having my second child.
Right, right.
So he didn't show a thing. I had the second child. He had signed the papers. I got my master's, but I remember leaving the hospital,
Yeah.
and like a day after my son was born, and went to Juilliard the next day to take final exams, and again, he was just in such an awe. There's no way. There's no way you could have had these two children.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I was really
The gods were
obviously,
with you.
Oh, I'm
Because
so-
a lot of women, the minute they find out they're pregnant, they look at,
that's true.
you know.
And I was able to continue. That's the
Yeah.
thing that I was very
Right.
blessed with, to
Yeah.
be able to continue all the concerts and practicing. And even right after they were born, I had help.
Right.
And
Good.
and then I had very unfortunate experience. My first husband died, and I had the two children to bring up on my own.
And they
So
were young?
They were very young, and I took them all over the world with me. I had somebody with me,
Mm-hmm.
and then when they got to the age where they had to stay in school, that was a little hard. I'd
Sure.
occasionally take them out, but
Yeah.
it was very difficult. But
It means you had to have a lot of help in order to keep your career going.
absolutely
Yeah.
right. But
Yeah.
those are days I look back at, and I think they probably thought maybe I didn't care so much because I said, life goes on, and
Yeah.
and I knew that the music, and especially my violin, would take me through
That
everything.
was going to make it all right for
Oh,
you.
it was wonderful
Yeah.
to have. And to this day, I mean, I never want anybody to think that the violin is in way of our friendship or my marriage or whatever, is because it is my best friend.
That's
It's with me all the time. I can speak to it. It speaks to me. And
What kind of violin do you have?
I have a Guadagnini that was made in 1760.
Wow.
And it's got quite a history to it. I actually was not looking for the violin. It
It found
was
you.
looking for me, I guess.
Yeah.
It was one of those situations. I was in
I
London.
understand that happens.
It does. You
Yeah.
can look and you can't find.
Right.
I think it's true in anything in life, But I was very fortunate. This violin came into my hands. I was visiting Cambridge University, and it was just I was having another wedding reception in London because I had been married in India, and I'd been married before that in New York, and so I was in London.
So this is a new husband that
This
you're
is a
talking
new
about.
husband, right? And here we are, this friend saying, "I've got this fabulous violin." I thought, he's just saying something.
Yeah,
And so he
yeah.
followed me to Cambridge. We were going, my husband was having a reunion, King's College, and I tried the violin. The master of the college was going to open up the auditorium for me, and I said, "No, I can just try it in the bedroom." I came out within 5 minutes and said, "No, I can't play on this violin." So my husband at the time said, "Don't say anything when he comes back to get the
Yeah,
violin.
yeah.
I'll speak." And I thought, "But you're not a musician." But he did speak up for me, and he did ask if I could bring the violin back to the States. And this young man said, "No, there's no way." I mean, well, the day I was leaving, just to make the story short, he met us at the airport.
Well, I thought you didn't like the violin.
I didn't, but my
Okay.
husband thought I should bring it back and have it looked at in New York. And I thought, okay, I mean, he must know something I don't know.
Yeah.
But
just the age.
And, well, the instrument, what he did was he put the violin in a case that had nails sticking out of it. We wrapped rope around it so, nobody would think it was anything that I was bringing in.
Oh, my God.
And he said to me, if you don't like it, I'll come back and get it. He was just wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I took it to the fellow that I use, and he said, Helen, what it needs is, and he did a few things for me. I started to play it. I said, it's not the same instrument. It was incredible. I wanted this violin.
Yes.
So here I am. I haven't sold my other violin that I had, which eventually I did, but I got this violin.
And it's big money that it's exchanged for wonderful instruments.
But it's right. And now I'm looking for a bow, but not really. But it'll happen.
Special bow has to come your way now.
Yes, I do have two very special bows, but right now I think I need something in between the two that I have. But it's another little adventure, and it will happen.
Well, I think it's wonderful that the violin found you.
Well,
a violin that's that old. The only one I know about is the I slaughter names. I don't want to say it.
The Stradivarius.
Thank you.
That's right.
That's the only one that I know.
Well, I tried two or three. One in particular that was even $1 million more than mine. I mean, it was just it was incredible, but it wasn't right for me.
Okay.
I just couldn't play on it.
Wow.
And this one suited me. Instruments have to.
They have a personality.
They do
all
of their own.
Yeah.
And what one likes, somebody else may not like.
Yeah.
And it just makes me think back when I got my first violin when I was studying with the first fine violin, Italian Ruggieri. When I was studying with Galamian, he had me go to a concert hall to try the instrument, and he listened to me playing. And I had a Stradivarius I was playing on, and it was narrowed down to the Stradivarius and the Ruggieri. And when you think, this is in the 60s, that Stradivarius was $12,500, and they go for $2-3 million, if not more.
Yeah.
And mine, I'll never forget, the Ruggieri was $8,500. And we thought at that time $5,000, and I played better on the Ruggieri that, we'll save a little money and you're getting an instrument that really suits you.
Right.
But I look back now and I'm thinking, wouldn't it have been, I would have had a real treasure as far as the value goes. But it really has to be the right instrument for you.
It has to feel right.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And there must be, the wood on it is a very special wood, isn't it?
It's the aging of the wood and the, the sound to me changes. It depends, of course, on the weather, and I have a case that has a humidity control and everything and the humidifier in the house and everything to keep it
the heck with the people, but watch out for that violin.
Well, I cover it with a blanket. I mean, I am a little absurd, but sometimes I wonder, what I'm doing, but it's
your livelihood and your best friend. You've already said that,
and it just makes such a big difference. So I'm just delighted to own it and to have something that is such a part of me. It's an extension. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have the violin.
Yeah, well, to be so focused on a career from age 5 on up, 3.
Right. Music I used to sing. I had music. I used to kind of bang on the piano. My mother said, I remember saying when I mentioned years ago, about banging, you never banged. You had that touch. But I think there was music. Was in you. Right. Yeah. My father was a doctor, and he understood. But when I was a senior in high school, I left Rockford, Illinois, to go to Nyack High School in New York, so I could go to Juilliard on Saturdays.
Oh my!
So I had my senior year away from home.
Yeah.
But I was very close to one of the greatest violin teachers that recently died a few years ago, Dorothy DeLay, at the Juilliard School, and I spent lots of time. She lived in Nyack.
She was like a family.
She was.
Yeah.
And she drove me into Juilliard, and I've stayed very close to her, and even had lessons with her as well as Galamian. So it was an exciting
I can't imagine being that focused. It's wonderful.
And really doing what you were told to do, and having lessons at 7 o'clock on Sunday morning so that I would not go out on Saturday night. I mean, I was just dedicated, and I can't believe, what I gave up and because I knew this is something I had to do. I really had to.
But you may have given up things for all the things that women want in life, especially in those days.
That's right.
Back in the 60s,
That's right.
You had it. You had the husband, you had the family.
That's right. And a lot of times...
And a career.
And the career. And I think what was very difficult then, which they don't do today, is if you audition for a conductor or for a soloist position, they don't ask you, are you married? How many children do you have? But they did then.
Really?
They were always, because I think they were afraid that, well, if she's got children, she won't, what happened, they get sick, she won't be able to perform. And I thought that, to me, always was, my family was very important, but I had my career. And if I had a concert, I was at that concert.
Right. Somebody else had to take care of the kids.
If they were sick or if there was a problem. Absolutely right. Yeah. So, but those are things that I think today we just kind of take for granted. We can have careers and we can have everything. But, those times I think they were, very difficult for a woman to step out there and have
You're kind of a pioneer.
So, well, it's been a lot of fun, and it still continues to be lots of fun.
Yeah.
So many different things going on. But I have to mention, with all the solo concerts that I do, it's 20 years ago. This is very interesting. When I moved up to Washington Depot, Connecticut, I formed a nonprofit chamber music organization.
Okay.
And actually, it had been called the Washington, let's see, what did they call it? The Washington, not Chamber Music Society, that's what it was, Chamber Music Society. And Avery Fisher was actually the one that asked me, why are you had Washington on it? You're going to be playing all over.
Right.
And then my answer to that was, well, I checked out. There's a Washington in every state of the union.
Oh, funny.
So I thought this will be fine. I can travel anywhere.
It'll
Washington.
fit everybody.
Well, he said that I should put my name on it, and I had a hard time accepting that. That was after about, I would say, it was back at 1989. That's when it was, because Itzhak Perlman came up to do a benefit concert for me in Washington at the in Chippewa High School, and that was it was wonderful, because that was when we changed the name to Armstrong Chamber Concerts. So I said, okay. I had a hard time because raising money, it's not for me, it's for the organization. But so often I feel when I'm speaking to people that I have my hand out all the time, and yet it's for everything that we do, because our real mission is to increase the awareness and knowledge of chamber music through our performance and our education.
Okay,
so,
and what does it do? I mean, what is the Armstrong Chamber Concerts?
Well, what we do is we have, I'm the founder and artistic director.
Okay.
And I engage artists for 4 different times during the year for 3 concerts, Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. And I have a wide variety of instruments and a wide selection of composers, unusual combinations, and things that aren't always performed.
And now, do you perform in the same place every year?
No, we have a series that we do in Greenwich, a salon concert series, where we're in the homes where the people come in and have drinks, hors d'oeuvres,
fun.
have a concert. It's where salons concert should be, and then we have a dinner afterwards for everybody.
Oh, that sounds like
And then
great
the next
fun.
day, on the Saturday after that, we have a library concert that we started this year at the Greenwich Library for young people.
Yeah.
And then Sunday we come up to, this year again, this is new, to be in New Milford at the Congregational Church. I had 20 years at the Congregational Church in Washington. So we moved to New Milford. For various reasons. I think it was time for a change.
Is it a larger church also?
Well, maybe, yes. But I think it's easier for people to get to, and we have people coming from all over the state.
Really?
And I have to mention our next concert in New Milford's November 21st, coming up very soon.
Yeah.
So we do 4. We have October, November, and then April and May. We have concerts, and they're 3, back to back like that.
And you bring in important people.
Yes, all world-renowned artists. I've been very fortunate to have some of the great artists that are out there. And I tried one time, and I thought maybe I wouldn't play in one of the concerts. And then they said, but Helen, you really have to play.
Yeah.
I mean, as a matter of fact, to talk about that, I had 3 or 4 of my musicians volunteer to play at my wedding 8 years ago, and I can't believe they said, but there's one thing.
You had to play.
I had to play.
At your own wedding?
I said, I cannot believe it. I can't believe it, but I did. I mean, they were wonderful. But when you have that rapport with people and the kind of musicians that you want to have, and what I thought I never could do was to plan programs. because I was always told what to do and when to do it.
Oh, by someone else.
Yes,
yeah.
always. You're
Yeah.
going to perform this,
Yeah.
you do this, whatever it is. It was always,
Yeah.
I was spoon-fed, this is what you do. I got out of Juilliard, and I couldn't believe that I was out there planning the programs. I must have had it in me somehow, you know. That,
Yeah.
And the fun part I have is getting the different personalities. They all have to be world-renowned, but I just...
and they have to blend.
They have to blend,
Right.
and I always compare it a little bit to planning a good dinner party with the right guests and the right food.
Right.
And I do this with my artists and the right programming, because we only have 2-3 rehearsals before. And
Oh, really?
The last one in October, it was incredible. I had one of the artists, Rohan De Silva, who is Itzhak Perlman's pianist, and he said, Helen, you know, can we have 5 rehearsals? I said, 5? I've never had 5 rehearsals. Well, it was one of the better concerts, I have to say that.
Yeah.
Because we really, really felt when we played.
You were right with each other,
all the
breathing
time.
together. Isn't
Absolutely.
that about what you have to do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we share ideas all the time. Somebody has an idea, they played it 100 times one way, and I've played it 100 times another way. But we are able to now, you know, listen to each other, and we just adapt very quickly, and we're always learning. It's
Helen,
just a great...
could you give a phone number if somebody's interested in tickets? You sell tickets to
That's
these
right.
Somebody's interested in purchasing tickets?
Absolutely. The next concert, as I said, is on the 21st in New Milford, and our telephone number is 860-868-0522.
Good.
And we have a website also, and a email. I mean, they can do that as well.
What is the website?
It's the website is accnct.org, and our email is the same thing, accnct at AOL.com.
Okay.
So
I'll ask you that again later on in the program. So if somebody, but you know, if they're interested, hopefully they'll get their paper and pencil.
And if they do come, I hope they will come up and introduce themselves. That would be great.
Yeah. So you have the 21st season of the Armstrong Chamber Concerts, and it's happening this November 21st.
That's
at
right.
New Milford Congregational Church.
That's right, on the green.
What pieces are going to be played?
We're doing a Mozart duo, the G major for violin and viola, and then we're doing Ravel Sonata for violin and cello, and the Dagnani String Trio for the violin, cello, and viola. And a lot of times I don't play every work. It had been like that for a long time, and this one I ended up, okay, here I am playing again.
Good, good.
But it's a lot of fun and wonderful young artists. I have Anthea Creston, violist, and Jason Duckles, cellist. I've not played with them before. I have with Jason, but I'm trying to introduce new talent as well as people that I've been playing with for years and years.
Well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back from the break, you're going to give us a little sampling of your violin and your music.
I'd love to do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we'll be back in a few minutes with the second half of the program. Don't go away. Welcome back. Helen Armstrong is going to play for us now and give us a teasing taste of just what a concert violinist can do. Okay, Helen, you're on. Okay. Wow, that was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Very beautiful. Um, we'll be back in just a second. Let us get everything rearranged.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know whether I could.
No. Oops, I think they'll. Welcome back. That was a wonderful, wonderful little piece that you played. What was it called?
Well, it was the Bourrée movement from the Bach unaccompanied partita in B minor. There are 8 movements, and actually, as I mentioned to you before, that was one of the 8 movements. But I played that when I was in 6th grade.
That's
It's just so mind-boggling to me a little bit because everything
very difficult piece.
It's very difficult, but not only that, I think as you get older, you think so much more about what you're playing. And when you're younger, you just play it. And nothing phases a youngster. They get up and play. I mean, it's just...
was there a dance in it?
Right,
seemed
it's
like
it's the dance.
Right, okay.
Right. So it's that, I think, of all the repertoire written for violin, the unaccompanied Bach, the most difficult. The sonatas and partitas, and then Paganini caprices. Those were the 2. When I started studying those, I thought, okay, I think I've arrived. But I don't think I've ever arrived, because every time I go back to play these again and again, oh my goodness, they're so difficult. And every situation.
Well, you would go into the high range down to the low range without any. It was high, low, high, low.
Right. It's a lot of. Well, the hard thing about the violin is, lucky I have perfect pitch, but you can learn with relative pitch where you relate to the pitches. And when you have perfect pitch, what is hard is when you play in places where a piano is slightly out of tune, and
it really
I
bothers
have a hard time adjusting. For other people, it's okay because they can tune down a little bit or tune up or whatever it is, usually down, because most of the instruments are not always
up as high as they
should be. That happens so often, but no, it's...
But it really it's like somebody scratching the blackboard for you.
Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard. But, you make do, and that was one thing my teacher, Galamian, that I had, and I still to this day can't think of how he instilled the discipline. I mean, it's there, and it's amazing. If I don't practice, I'm not the same person. I mean, I have to work every day. But it's there was something there, learning at that age to know that the time is set aside and putting in that time.
Well, I think it's very few people are able to do this. Right. You have your average child is not going to stick with it.
No,
there's music programs all over the place, and they're with it for a while, and then they're on to something else. But it's
the focusing. And
one or two students are the ones that have it.
Right, and I think also practicing is not just putting in the time, it's knowing how to practice. And that's one thing I must say I want to talk a little bit about, if I may, about our educational programs that we do.
Please do.
We're in Fairfield, Westchester, Litchfield counties, as well as the Bronx in New York. And our programs, I feel, are very unique in the fact that we go at least 3 times during the school year for 2 days, and we stay there for the full day. And another, I bring in world-renowned artists to work. Now, we either start a new program or we enhance an existing program, but it's all tailored to the needs of the school.
How nice.
And it's wonderful because the teachers are just as much involved as the students. And it's been a program I've been doing now for 16 years out of this is our 21st season with Armstrong Chamber Concerts. But it has been so rewarding. And the children, I have to say how I started the program. I went to the Washington Primary School, and I went at lunchtime. And I brought not only my violin, but I brought another little violin about 8th size. And they can go down to 16th, 8th, a quarter,
tiny,
a half,
tiny.
3/4, and you get to the full size. And they were all eating their lunch, I thought, well, this is a good time, just introduce the violin. Well, there was not a sound of anything. I thought, oh my goodness, what's going on here? So I said to them, finish your lunch, and if those of you that would like to line up, you have to wash your hands first, but I'll let you try the little violin.
Oh my.
The principal at that time sent a letter home to the parents, and about 60 youngsters wanted to play the violin. I thought, oh my goodness. Well, this is how all my music enrichment programs started. And when I had so many of them, I said, okay, this is
there's a
at
calling
least
here.
12 years ago, So what happened was I went in before school, lunch breaks, recess, after school, but I couldn't handle it with my schedule. So I said, you know what they really need? We can't have all people playing the violin. We need all the instruments. So I started bringing in, but they kept coming back to the violin. I thought, I know I love the violin and everything, but they know that, but I want them to be exposed to all the instruments. And we introduce not only the classical music, but jazz and all different kinds of music.
Wonderful.
Broadway stars that I have come up and work with the students, and they love it.
Now, how do you get involved in the schools? What schools are you involved with?
Well, there are a number of schools. What had happened is the way I had started, obviously, was Washington.
Because you lived in Washington.
Because I live in Washington. And so we started that way, and then we branched out into New Milford, Litchfield. We've been in I think we only did one time there. The program hasn't developed there, but I've done a lot down in Norwalk and Bridgeport and Portchester. I was just there yesterday, and I had a fabulous French horn player, and I decided I wasn't going to play, and those little kids came running to me and hugging me and wanting to, where's my violin? Where's my violin? So I said,
like
the next one.
The angel with the violin to them or something.
Oh, there's something about, and so I said, next time I come, I said, I will bring some violins because I really think they have to get started. Now, one of the hard things, because the arts budget is cut, is to have this program in as many schools as possible. But I find that what we do is, as long as the school contributes, we get a lot of grant money. And the only way that we will go in, and it doesn't have to be a lot of money, that they show their interest and support so that it will continue. If we just put our money out and it disappears, then what are we going to do? We can't. We have to have
nothing to show for it.
That's right. So we've been very fortunate. 2 years ago from the Flora Family Foundation, I was given a grant of $100,000 and to go into the schools, and it's wonderful. They gave me another 30. J.P. Morgan, I got 50,000 from them, and I've been very, very fortunate. But it's a lot of hard work because you just have to.
You're working all the time.
It's constant. It's just constant. But
how rewarding!
Oh, it is rewarding
because you're touching the hearts of some kids that never would have the chance to experience.
And not only that, we find hidden talent.
That's right.
And I always say that this program, for students taking instruments, so important to their well-being, but the self-discipline, the self-esteem. Working, their habits of homework are improved, just everything. Knowing how to go about something. And I just think their math and science scores have improved, and we found that it makes a difference. We have to convince so many people that is so important to have arts in the schools.
I totally agree. It's the first thing that's cut. It's the music and the art.
That's right.
You know.
And it's something that I believe so much in.
I do
but
too.
the other
I
thing
do
that I've
too.
been sitting here waiting to tell and talk
Okay.
about is a tremendous passion that I have for what
Okay.
I'm involved in another project. And that is I'm working with the world's greatest sound engineer. And Bruce Svadin is his name. And he has done all the recordings for Michael Jackson, Quincy Jones, Sarah Vaughan,
Really?
Duke Ellington, Count Basie, you name them all, Barbra Streisand. He's just working with Jennifer Lopez finishing an album. And we're doing an album. I've done 3 kind of, I don't want to call them samplers, but we've started in.
Yeah.
And we're going to have 12 songs. They're romantic songs. And
How nice.
I've recorded The Shadow of Your Smile.
Uh-huh.
Don't get around much anymore.
Wow, this is kind of a step away.
Oh, I am
isn't
so
it?
excited. I can't believe the musicians I'm having on the recording.
Sounds wonderful.
I am having so much fun.
You're fitting right into something that's happening all around with the vocal music. People are craving this kind of music now.
It's the timing is right. Rod Stewart came out with
Right.
all of a sudden
Yes.
his 3rd album has come
Right.
out.
Yeah.
And so my engineer has always wanted to do this, and he was actually classically trained. He used to do all the Chicago Symphony recordings back in the 50s.
Wow.
And then when the pop,
Yeah.
there's a lot of money in the pop field, and he is,
So
he's just
is that what
wonderful.
this is all about?
That and other things
Okay.
about my my life.
I'm going to hold this up and see if they can get a close-up of it. This is a full-page spread on the Litchfield County Times.
That's right.
And
It was back
tell
a few
me
weeks
what
ago.
it is. 2 weeks ago?
Yes, October 15th issue.
Okay.
And
It's a lovely picture. We're going to focus in on... Here it is. Isn't that beautiful? Relaxing out in your backyard.
You know, somebody asked me if that's the first time I'd been in that chair, and I said I hate to say yes.
Oh, well...
But that's my backyard, and I wish I'd spend more time outdoors than indoors. But
And it's a wonderful article all about...
well, it talks about this new project that I'm involved with, and what's so much fun for me is it's giving me a chance to work with Sergio Mendes and Carlos Santana and all the people that James Ingram, and I never thought, and I look at all my musicians, would ever have an opportunity like this. And our album is called Once in a Blue Moon, and I feel that's really what it is for me, once in a blue moon, to have this opportunity to do something that I didn't know really was in me.
Is the album out?
No, we're just working.
Coming out.
So we'll be working extensively from January on until we're going to get it done. But it's been so much fun, and every time I start talking about it or play some of it, I just am so impassioned with it's something that I never thought I could do.
Is it easier to play this kind of music?
No. And it's so exposed. It has to be there. It's got to be.
Okay.
And it has to feel, you have to put all your passion and emotions into it.
Because you have a tone, and it has to be perfect.
Not only that, I have never recorded with earphones before, so this was a whole new experience for me.
Really?
And it's not doing my part first. I'm fitting my part into the accompaniment. As a matter of fact, the Philadelphia Strings, I think, are going to be on the album. So what happens, they record, and then I will play with them, but then I still have to go back and re-record to fit it in. And it's hard because I'm used to somebody following me. You know, I'm the artist. This is something completely different, and I didn't know that I could do this. 1 or 2 takes, and they said I'm a natural. I thought, oh my gosh, I've never been called that before. But there is something, so you never know what's around the corner.
It's magical.
Oh, I'm thrilled.
So this is your newest venture.
It's great high.
On top of, I've got a flyer here. This is the one for the concert series.
That's right, on Sunday, November 21st.
Yeah. And this is the next thing up. Meanwhile, you're doing this recording of these romantic songs.
And as I said, couldn't be more happy about anything that I've had in my life. But it's added another dimension to my playing.
Of course.
My musicians are always saying, "What are you doing, Helen? You sound, there's something going on." I said, I share I was just having so much fun.
There we go. This is, let me get this down. Armstrong Chamber Concert, Sunday, November 21st, 2004, 3 p.m., First Congregational Church in New Milford. And the telephone number, one more time?
Yes, 860-868 0522.
Okay, good. So I'm impressed with the fact that you are going full tilt.
Well, it's wonderful to be busy. I don't know what I'd do without. I don't know what it would be like not to have a day. I would like to have that sometime. I say to myself, just to, what would I do today? You know, I mean, wouldn't it be fun just to get up in the morning and say, you know, just do whatever you feel like doing? And I'm very
and
programmed.
you'd say, oh my goodness, I better practice.
I'm too programmed. I think I'm a little bit too disciplined. But I have, since a child, always rewarded myself.
Good.
And
How do
I
you
think
do
it's
that?
If there's something, if I've worked very hard, I had a concert, I'm going to take a trip somewhere, I'm going to buy something new, but I work for it. I feel like anything that I do, I feel it's important.
Julia Cameron talks about the artist way, and when you do something like that once a week, you're supposed to reward yourself. You're supposed to take time for yourself and treat yourself good.
Well,
and
I
do
think
something
it is
for
important. You
Yeah.
can't work all
Yeah.
the time. I had a wonderful aunt that I was named after, and I'll never forget, she always would say to me, 8 hours of work, 8 hours of play, and 8 hours of sleep. And I thought, I wish I could keep that way, because there's just not enough hours in
There's
the
not
day.
enough time to play.
No.
We tend to work too hard.
I think we all do that.
Yeah.
You know, the hours are there, and you feel, I'm one of those kind of people, I have to be producing productive something every day. I feel, and I don't know if it's good, because I think my children feel the pressure every once in a while, because my son comes home, wants to lie on the sofa and watch TV, and like, you know, what are you doing? Because I never watch TV, and the only thing I do when I'm on the treadmill, I'll look at the news. But I feel that there's always something to be done, and I have a problem because our office is in the house, and I need to put a sign, keep out, because I'll half the time take my dinner and go and sit in front of the computer while I'm eating, and I shouldn't do that. It's not right. I know. I'm the first one to say it, but then I keep doing it.
They say that when you're eating by yourself, you are supposed to set a proper table, your wine glass, your water glass, everything, and sit down.
Flowers and candles.
That's right. And enjoy your dinner.
Well, that's the way it should
With cloth
be.
napkins.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way it should be. And I think we all can talk about that, and there are days that does happen, but
And then
on the
there's days that you're eating something as you're walking out the door.
or standing up.
Yeah,
Standing up, I have a very hard time to sit down. And it's I mean, today, or tonight, I should say, I'm actually sitting in the chair. Usually I sit on the edge of the chair. I'm just ready to jump to go.
Yeah.
And it's not so good. I know.
Well, relaxing is a very good thing, but you probably also have to keep your edge
Well,
all
do.
the time.
Yes. You can't just say, this is so easy to do.
Yeah.
No, every performance. If you do, then you start losing your focus and the concentration.
So you have to keep this kind of a focus right now, and I'm sure your family understands that this is part of what makes you you.
That's right. Well, I'm very lucky to have a husband that understands all of this. He is he's wonderful, because there are times that, you know, the violin goes with us on trips, and I have to practice, and he knows. And but I try every once in a while.
So when you go on a trip, you take your violin with you?
Usually I do. I know. I'm very bad.
And
very
you're
bad.
in the ladies' room playing or something, just to.
You know, but I find that depending how long when we go on a vacation, I try. I mean, we're going away for a week. That I promised I would not take my violin. I have a very hard. It's going to be hard for me, because the minute I get back, I have concerts 3 days in a row, and I've got.
Okay.
But I have a wonderful little gadget that I use with springs that I, keep the fingers limber. So I do that every day. If I'm not going to practice for 4 or 5 days, because I feel that it's like.
You don't want to get rusty or slow.
I always compare. An athlete has to, train. You can't just pick up and when I practice. I have to do certain exercises before. I just don't pick up the violin and start playing a piece. I mean, I have to just warm up a little bit. There are times when you can't.
Yeah.
But it's just a routine of things that I
And that you've done from years of practice. You've learned how to do what you have to do to make yourself sound the best.
That's right. Yeah. And I think that the hardest thing for young people practicing is they want to get through a piece. They don't know how to practice, and that's one thing we try to bring into our school programs, taking a piece of music, because they think, well, I'll play it slowly, now I can go fast. and then they keep stumbling over the same mistakes, and and now they're through. They're all ready to quit. Yeah. And I think practicing, that's the one thing. If I ask them, what do you not like about the instrument that they're playing, and it's the practicing.
Yeah.
They want to perform, and I said, if what I try to do with all the students, we build all the practicing. We have goals.
Right.
And I take them into senior citizens places or libraries, or I try to get the young people to perform, because then they realize that this is worth time, just not for themselves, but they're sharing their talents.
And if they haven't practiced enough, they'll realize that their performance isn't tweaked as much as the others are.
That's right. Right.
And they'll maybe say, oh, gee, if I had practiced a little bit more, I would have been a little bit better.
Right. Well, I always say that, and they can't believe that after I've been in a school program, and I said, well, I'm going to go home and I'm going to go practice. Yeah. And I said, that's a word, but always remember, it can be better. Nothing is perfect. Good. We strive for perfection. And I think that's one of I'm glad I'm that way, but I can't get in the way of what I'm doing, because sometimes I get so upset about something and I just want to do it again, do it again, do it again. And tomorrow, and if you just remember what you've learned from one day, you
carries over.
It does.
Yeah.
And there are going to be days, and I tell them, that don't go as well, and that's progress. And other days, you're going to just...
it's that way in all the arts.
I think so.
There's some days that I can pick up a paintbrush and I can't paint anything.
Right.
And other days where I don't think about it and it just comes to me.
It's very natural.
But the days where you can't do it and you struggle,
right.
That's what makes that other day happen.
That's right. And that's hard for youngsters to understand. That's all part of the process.
Helen, our time is almost up. Is there anything that you really feel that we haven't talked about that you want to talk about?
No, I think we've covered
good.
pretty much everything.
Good.
This has been such fun. And
you've been a delightful guest. There's a lot of things going on in your life, and it's great to hear about it.
Well, thank you for having me here, and I hope that the people that are watching will come and enjoy some of our concerts, and they have our number. And
once again, give the number.
860-868-0522.
Good.
And thank you very, very much.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. This has just been a lot of fun. And I love your violin, your little baby that you've already put to bed.
That's right.
Yeah. If you would like to be on my show, please call me, Carol Moore, at 860-567-0618, or email me at ctmoore4@optonline.net. I'd like to thank the boys in the control room for helping us out tonight, and making it as easy as it always is for me to do this show. Next week, Sharon Kune from the Lutheran Church in Torrington is going to be my guest. So please tune in and enjoy another good show. So until next week, this is Carol Moore for Vignette. Good night.